Truly, thoughts are things, and powerful things at that. Napoleon Hill. Imagine yourself sitting across from a wise older man. He doesn't preach. He doesn't boast. He speaks softly with authority, drawing you in, not just to teach you, but to transform you. That man is Napoleon Hill, and the book in your hands, Think and Grow Rich, is not just a guide. It's a spiritual and psychological blueprint to achieving your highest self, your greatest success, and your richest life. Not just in terms of wealth, but fulfillment, impact, and clarity of purpose. Published in 1937, during the darkest hours of the Great Depression, Think and Grow Rich offered something the world was starving for. Not money, but hope. Not a scheme, but a philosophy. And it came from someone who had devoted more than 25 years of his life to uncovering the single question that burned inside every ambitious soul. What is the secret to wealth, power, and success? And so, with the blessing of industrial titan Andrew, Carnegie Hill embarked on a legendary journey, interviewing over 500 of the most accomplished men of his time. Men like Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell, and Charles M. Schwab. But here's the twist. Hill wasn't just asking about money. He was asking about mindset, about decisions, about faith, about how these people thought, not just what they did. And what he discovered, what you are now about to discover, is that success is not an accident. It is not fate, and it is certainly not about luck. Success, Hill learned, is a science, and this book is the lab manual. What this book really teaches on the surface, Think and Grow Rich, is about how to become financially successful. But at its core, it's about something far more profound, mastering your inner world so you can change your outer world. Each chapter you're about to experience teaches one of the 13 principles Hill identified as universal keys to wealth and personal greatness. These aren't tricks or motivational fluff. They are laws, psychological, emotional, and even spiritual truths that govern the journey from desire to achievement. Hill reveals that desire is not a wish, it's the seed of power. Faith is not blind, it's belief in action. Persistence is not just endurance, it's the fuel of resilience. The subconscious mind is not a mystery, it's the engine room of your destiny. Imagination, decision, planning, and even sexual energy. These are not random forces. They are tools for creation. A historical moment, a timeless message to appreciate Think and Grow Rich, you must understand the era it came from. The 1930s were defined by fear, economic collapse, bank failures, mass unemployment. People were losing everything. But Hill's message was electric. He told readers, fear is the real enemy, and you can conquer it with the power of thought. And they believed him, because what he was giving them was not just ideas. It was agency, a sense that, even in ruin, they were not powerless. Fast forward to today, and Hill's message still rings louder than ever. In a world flooded with information, noise, and anxiety, this book cuts through the chaos. It doesn't just give you knowledge, it helps you remember your own power. What you can expect from this journey. This is not a book you read once. It's a manual you return to. And in this guided narration, we will not rush. Each chapter will be carefully unpacked, like sitting by a fireside with Hill himself, explaining what each principle really means, how to apply it in your life, what.
Real-life stories demonstrate its power, and where people often go wrong, we'll move slowly, deliberately, deeply, because transformation is not about speed.
It's about depth. Tone and style of this experience, as your narrator and guide, I will speak to you not just as a reader, but as a fellow traveler. Our tone will shift to match Hill's intensity, sometimes reflective, sometimes direct, always empowering. When Hill tells stories of Edison or Ford, I'll bring them alive like legends. When we encounter bold claims, I'll walk you through their logic. And when a concept feels mystical or abstract, I'll translate it into everyday terms, without stripping away its magic. You'll not only understand each chapter, but you'll feel it. who this book is. For Hill wrote this book for you, even if he didn't know your name. If you've ever felt like you were meant for more, wondered why others seemed to succeed effortlessly, tried hard but still fell short of your goals, felt the fire to build something, but didn't know where to start, then this book is not just for you, it's about you. The secret, that's hidden in plain sight. Hill often teases a mysterious secret that he claims is woven throughout the book, but never directly stated. That secret, he says, will reveal itself only when the reader is ready. Is it desire? Faith? The power of thought? We'll explore that secret together, and by the end, you may find that it was inside you the whole time. Let the journey begin, so take a deep breath. Set aside your distractions. Let your mind open, not just to read, but to receive. You are stepping into a world where thoughts become things, where dreams take shape, and where success is not reserved for the few, but designed by the willing. Welcome to Think and Grow Rich. Chapter 1, Desire, the starting point of all achievement. Desire is the starting point of all achievement. Not a hope, not a wish, but a keen, pulsating desire which transcends everything. Napoleon Hill. Opening the door to power everything begins with a spark, a flicker of longing, a vision of something better, something more. It's easy to think success begins with knowledge, money, or connections. But Hill flips that idea on its head. He says, it all begins with desire, but this isn't casual wanting. This is a fierce, unwavering obsession with an idea so vivid, so alive, it consumes your thoughts. Hill refers to it as definiteness of purpose. If you don't know what you want, down to the last detail, you'll never summon the forces that will help you get it. This chapter isn't about dreaming. It's about declaring war on mediocrity with a crystal clear aim in mind. Edwin C. Barnes, the man who thought himself into partnership with Edison to prove his point, Hill shares the now famous story of Edwin C. Barnes, a man who had nothing but a burning desire to become the business partner of the great Thomas Edison. He didn't want to work for Edison. He wanted to work with him. Absurd? Maybe. He had no money, no influence. He wasn't even acquainted with Edison. But Barnes boarded a freight train and rode hundreds of miles to Orange, New Jersey, where Edison's lab was located. When he arrived, dirty and broke, he boldly declared his intent. Edison later said Barnes looked like an ordinary tramp, but his eyes revealed determination that would not be denied. Edison gave him a chance, as a lowly assistant, but Barnes didn't complain. He waited, he worked, and when the opportunity finally came, a chance to sell a new Edison invention that other salesmen doubted, Barnes seized it. He sold so effectively that he eventually earned the partnership he had dreamed of. That's the power of definiteness of desire. The 6 steps to turning desire into gold now. Hill gets practical. He offers a clear 6-step formula that every person can use to turn burning desire into actual wealth. Step 1. Fix in your mind the exact amount of money you desire. Not a lot of money, a specific number. Vagueness kills energy. Step 2. Determine exactly what you intend to give in return. There is no free lunch. What service or value will you provide? Step 3. Establish a definite date when you intend to possess the money. A goal without a deadline is just a fantasy. Step 4. Create a definite plan and begin at once, whether you're ready or not. Do not wait for perfect timing. Action trumps preparation. Step 5. Write out a clear, concise statement of the above. Put it on paper. Words clarify thought. Step 6. Read your written statement aloud twice daily, with emotion. This is where faith begins. It's not just repetition, it's emotional immersion. Hill insists, feel as though you already possess the money. Train your subconscious to believe in the outcome as if it were already real. This emotionalization creates what he calls a burning desire, which activates the creative power of thought. The difference between wishing and desiring. There's a moment in this chapter where Hill draws a bold line in the sand. Wishing will not bring riches, but desiring riches with a state of mind that becomes an obsession, and then planning definite ways and means to acquire riches, and backing those plans with persistence, will bring riches. Most people wish. A few desire. The difference is action. The difference is commitment. The difference is identity, making the desire a part of who you are. What happens in the mind? Here, Hill plants the early seeds of his later chapters on the subconscious mind and autosuggestion. Desire is the first fuel that programs the subconscious with a new belief that this dream is not negotiable. You're not hoping anymore. You're creating. You're speaking the future into existence every time you read that statement aloud. Every repetition pushes it deeper into the subconscious, where it quietly influences your decisions, habits, and behaviors. The story of the Great Chicago. Firefighter, retold Hill, shares another story. This one of a young man who, during the Great Chicago fire, lost everything. But instead of despairing, he rebuilt his business from ashes, inspired by nothing more than his sheer refusal to give up. Why? Because he had desire, and nothing, not even disaster, could extinguish it. This isn't motivational fluff. It's a principle Hill observed in every major success story. Summary. Key lessons from Chapter 1. Desire is the foundational principle. Nothing begins without it. Vague dreams are useless. You need specifics. How much, by when, how you'll earn it. You must read and feel your goal daily. Emotion is the bridge between thought and action. You must be willing to persist, even when nothing seems to work. In Hill's world, the difference between those who win and those who don't isn't luck. It's fire, a burning obsession with an outcome so powerful that even failure becomes fuel. Reflection. Question. What do you want so badly that you're willing to obsess over it, fight for it, work for it, even when no one believes it's possible? Write it down, speak it aloud, revisit it tomorrow. That's how desire becomes destiny. Chapter 2. Faith, visualization and belief in the attainment of desire. Faith is the head chemist of the mind. When faith is blended with the vibration of thought, the subconscious mind instantly picks up the vibration, translates it into its spiritual equivalent, and transmits it to infinite intelligence. Napoleon Hill. The invisible force behind all achievement. Close your eyes and imagine. You have a clear goal. You've written it down. You feel it, you want it, but part of you hesitates. A quiet voice says, "But how will it happen?" That's where faith comes in. To Hill, faith isn't religious, although it can be. It's emotional belief. The deep inner knowing that what you desire will come to pass, not because you're lucky, but because you're mentally, emotionally, and energetically aligned with it. Faith is active trust. It is built, not born, through repetition, emotion, and clarity. The psychology of faith. Hill argues that faith is a state of mind that can be induced through autosuggestion, a concept he expands on in the next chapter. But here, he emphasizes that thoughts mixed with emotions like faith, love, and sex have the highest power to influence the subconscious mind. Why? Because the subconscious doesn't respond to logic, it responds to feeling. And when a thought is emotionalized with belief, it penetrates the subconscious and begins to shape behavior, confidence, and intuition. If desire is the what and planning is the how, then faith is the why, the soul behind every action. The power of repetition, affirmations, and confident statements. Hill introduces a method to build faith: repeated affirmations. He says you must read your written goal statement aloud. Twice daily, repeat it with conviction and emotion. Visualize yourself already in possession of the goal. Speak affirmations that reinforce self-confidence. One of his classic affirmations is, "I believe I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action toward its attainment, and I here and now promise to render such action." This isn't about wishful thinking. It's about retraining your mind, installing new belief systems through emotional repetition. self-belief. The foundation of all success, Hill is unapologetic. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. He explains that faith is not only the key to achieving wealth, but also to overcoming fear, doubt, and limitation. All forms of success, no matter how small or large, require self-trust. Faith is the basis of all miracles. It is the only known antidote for failure. The opposite of faith isn't disbelief, it's fear. And we'll meet fear again in the final chapter, real-world examples, Ford, Carnegie, Edison. Though Hill doesn't retell all their stories here, he subtly references the ironclad belief systems of men like Henry Ford, who famously declared that he'd build a V8 engine, even when every engineer told him it was impossible. Andrew Carnegie, who believed wealth was a product of organized thought, not inheritance or chance. Thomas Edison, who didn't just invent, he believed he could invent. These men didn't just hope, they expected. Faith and infinite intelligence. Here Hill introduces the spiritual layer. When you emotionalize your desire with faith, it is picked up by the subconscious, transmitted as a vibration, and received by what Hill calls infinite intelligence, the universal source of wisdom, guidance, and creative insight. Hill doesn't try to explain this force in scientific terms. Instead, he challenges you to experience it. Trust the process, activate the belief, take the leap, and you'll often find invisible hands catching you, building faith through repetition. Let's be clear, you're not expected to believe instantly. Hill says faith is developed, just like muscle. Here's how. Daily affirmations with emotion, clear vision of what you want, consistent emotional repetition, act as if your goal is already real, persist through visible failure. Eventually, faith becomes self-sustaining. The danger of negative faith, Hill also warns us, faith works both ways. If you dwell on fear, failure, and loss, you are using faith in reverse. You're believing in the worst outcome, and that too can be internalized and realized through your subconscious, so it becomes your responsibility to be the guardian of your mind. Filter what you allow in. Watch your thoughts as if your life depends on them, because Hill says they do. Final lessons from Chapter 2, Faith, is belief fused with emotion. It's developed through repetition, visualization, and action. Faith is the only antidote to fear and doubt. Without faith, desire has no fuel. With faith, desire becomes inevitable. Reflection. Challenge tonight or tomorrow morning, stand in front of a mirror and say, I am the master of my fate. I am the creator of my wealth. I believe in my power to achieve what I desire. Say it like you mean it, every day. Watch what changes. Chapter 3, Autosuggestion, the medium for influencing the subconscious mind. Autosuggestion is the agency of control through which an individual may voluntarily feed his subconscious mind thoughts of a creative nature. Napoleon Hill. What is autosuggestion? At first glance, the term might sound scientific or strange, but Hill defines autosuggestion simply. It's self-suggestion, the process of talking to yourself deliberately every day in a way that reprograms your mind from the inside out. Most people allow their environment, news, fears, failures, negative people, to shape their beliefs unconsciously. Autosuggestion is about reclaiming that power. You don't wait for the world to tell you who you are. You tell yourself again and again until you believe it. Why it works. The subconscious listens emotionally. The subconscious mind does not judge. It does not filter. It does not say, that's not realistic. Instead, it accepts whatever you repeatedly tell it, especially when those thoughts are infused with strong emotion. Hill emphasizes, the subconscious mind takes any orders given to it in a spirit of absolute faith and acts upon those orders, although the orders often have to be presented over and over again. So what happens when you repeatedly tell yourself, I'm not good enough, I'll probably fail, nothing ever works out for me? You begin to live those truths, not because they're true, but because they've been installed. Now, imagine reversing that. I am confident and unstoppable. I attract success easily. Money and opportunity come to me through service and value. That's autosuggestion at work. Revisiting the 6-step formula, now in action. In Chapter 1, Hill gave us the 6-step plan to transform desire into riches. In Chapter 2, he asked us to emotionally believe in it through faith. Now, in Chapter 3, he tells us how to make it stick. Here's what to do. Write down your definite chief aim, your specific goal. Read it aloud first thing in the morning and last thing at night. Feel the words emotionally, as if the goal is already true. Visualize and yourself in possession of the money, position, or outcome. Use the mirror technique. Look yourself in the eye and speak with conviction. Repeat for 30+ days without breaking the streak. Each time you repeat your statement, you're planting a seed deeper into your subconscious. Autosuggestion is mental nutrition. Hill compares this process to feeding your mind, just like you feed your body. Positive affirmations, nutrient-rich meals. Negative self-talk, junk food that poisons belief-skipping affirmations. Mental starvation. He writes, you are what you think about most of the time. Autosuggestion is a conscious decision to take control of what you think about, and therefore, what you become. Faith and autosuggestion. Work together, Hill reinforces, faith is the emotional partner of autosuggestion. Without emotion, the words are empty. Without repetition, faith doesn't stick. The more you repeat your affirmations with intensity and belief, the more those ideas begin to hardwire into your identity. Eventually, they shape your tone of voice, posture, confidence, and even the decisions you make without thinking. Why most people fail with affirmations? Hill doesn't sugarcoat it. Most people will never truly harness the power of autosuggestion because they're inconsistent. They don't infuse emotion into the process. They treat it like a wish, not a command. They let doubt cancel out belief. They give up before belief takes root. He reminds us, autosuggestion is not magic. It is mental discipline. Just as muscles don't grow overnight, your belief system is shaped through daily repetition with emotional energy. Tips to maximize autosuggestion. Here's Hill's practical advice, adapted for daily use. Use the present tense. I am earning $10,000 per month through my business. Not, I will. Add vivid detail. Describe how it feels, where you live, what you wear, who you help. Be consistent. Never skip a day. Once in the morning, once before bed. Feel gratitude as if it's already yours. Gratitude is an amplifier of emotion. Say it. Out loud, even if you feel silly. Whisper if you must. But speak it. The secret shift. Identity over goals 1. Powerful insight. Hill weaves into this chapter is that autosuggestion isn't about chasing a goal, it's about becoming a person. It's about reprogramming your inner identity to align with your outer ambitions. You stop thinking like a struggling person wishing for success and begin thinking like a successful person choosing it. And when your identity shifts, so do your results. Final lessons from Chapter 3 Autosuggestion is the tool to feed your subconscious mind repetition, plus emotion. Belief affirmations are meaningless without consistency and feeling. You are constantly programming your mind, either consciously or by default. You can override fear, doubt, and failure through mental discipline. Daily ritual challenge tonight. Look in the mirror and declare your chief aim. Don't just say it, feel it. Speak as if your future self is already living it. I am grateful that I now earn specific amount by doing your service and that I am improving the lives of who you serve. I am confident, resourceful, and fearless. Say it every day. Watch how your beliefs and eventually your reality begin to shift. Chapter 4. Specialized knowledge, personal experiences or observations. Knowledge is only potential power. It becomes power only when and if it is organized into definite plans of action and directed to a definite end. Napoleon Hill. The myth of general education. We live in a world that worships degrees, titles, and general knowledge. But Hill draws a hard line here. Having knowledge means nothing unless you do something with it. He criticizes traditional schooling for producing graduates who know a little about a lot, but often lack practical application. He even points out that some of the most successful people he interviewed had little formal education, but what they did have was specialized knowledge applied toward a specific purpose. What is specialized knowledge? Hill defines it as organized, intelligently directed knowledge gained through experience, study, or observation, focused on a definite chief aim. In simple terms, you don't need to know everything. You only need to know the right things for your goal and use them with purpose. Examples of specialized knowledge. Digital marketer who understands how to build high-converting email funnels, a real estate investor who knows how to identify undervalued properties, a fitness coach who masters behavior change in clients. This knowledge may come from school, books, mentors, work, or self-study, but it must be relevant to your purpose, applied consistently, updated regularly. Knowledge alone isn't enough here. Hill drops one of his most famous quotes. An educated man is not necessarily one who has an abundance of general or specialized knowledge. An educated man is one who has developed the faculties of his mind that he may acquire anything he wants, or its equivalent, without violating the rights of others. So knowledge isn't the goal. Powerful, applied thinking is. You must ask yourself, what do I need to know to achieve my goal? Where can I get it? How quickly can I begin applying it? Collaboration and the mastermind principle. This chapter is the first where Hill connects knowledge to teamwork. If you don't have the knowledge required for your goal, don't worry. Surround yourself with a group of experts, people who have the knowledge you lack. That's where the mastermind group enters. You can buy, borrow, or trade for the knowledge you need. Examples. Henry Ford didn't know everything about engineering, but he surrounded himself with brilliant minds who did. Thomas Edison hired technical experts and creative thinkers to carry out his vision. Hill is telling you, your genius doesn't have to be in your head. It can be in your network. Action over hoarding information. This chapter also challenges our modern obsession with information consumption. Hill would likely warn against over-reading without applying, endless research without execution, hoarding ideas and never testing them. He writes, successful men in all callings never stop acquiring specialized knowledge related to their major purpose, business, or profession. The key is not to know more. It's to do more with what you know. How to acquire specialized knowledge. Hill gives several practical steps. Self-education. Read books, watch lectures, take courses related to your goal. Experience. Learn by doing. Trial and error refines. Knowledge into wisdom. Mentorship. Learn from someone who's already succeeded in your desired field. Associations, mastermind groups, clubs, online communities. Any place where knowledge is shared with purpose. Hiring experts, if you can't. Learn it quickly, delegate or collaborate. This approach turns the world into your classroom and everyone into a potential teacher. Real-world example. Henry Ford's trial. Hill tells the famous story of Ford being sued for ignorance. When questioned in court, critics tried to humiliate him for not knowing answers to basic historical or academic questions. Ford calmly responded, "If I should really want to answer the foolish question you have just asked or any of the other questions, let me remind you that I have a row of electric push buttons on my desk. And by pushing the right button, I can summon to my aid men who can answer any question I desire." Mic drop. Hill's point? You don't need to know everything, only where to get the knowledge and how to apply it. Final insights from Chapter 4. Knowledge alone is not power. Applied knowledge is, you must identify the knowledge relevant to your definite chief aim. Don't waste time learning things you'll never use. Collaborate with others to fill knowledge gaps. Continuous learning is a lifelong strategy, not a one-time event. Reflection. Questions. What specific knowledge do you currently lack that's holding back your goal? Who already possesses that knowledge, and how can you access it? What actions can you take this week to begin acquiring or applying that knowledge? Write down your answers. Turn them into a plan. This is where ideas become skill, and skill becomes wealth.
Chapter 5. Imagination, the workshop of the mind. The imagination is literally the workshop wherein are fashioned all plans created by man. Napoleon Hill, where ideas are born and fortunes begin, everything you see around you, every
Building, business, airplane, smartphone, skyscraper began as an idea. And where did that idea come from? Imagination. Hill makes it clear, riches don't appear out of thin air. They start as thoughts. Those thoughts become ideas. And those ideas, when organized and acted upon, become wealth. So the real raw material of success, your imagination. And Hill treats it not as some artistic luxury, but as a core asset of the mind. Two types of imagination. Hill categorizes imagination into two distinct forms. Synthetic imagination rearranges existing ideas, concepts, and plans into new combinations. Most commonly used in business, doesn't create. It combines what already exists in a fresh way. Example: Uber didn't invent taxis or apps, but combined both to creative imagination taps into the subconscious and infinite intelligence. The realm of breakthroughs, hunches, dreams, inspired thoughts cannot be forced. It responds best when you're in a state of faith, desire, or emotional intensity. Edison and Tesla both relied on this form for invention. Both forms are powerful. The first is more practical, the second more mystical. Hill encourages mastering both, but especially learning how to recognize and act on flashes of inspiration from your creative imagination. The imagination and your desire. Here's where the pieces connect. You start with a desire. Chapter 1. You charge it with faith. Chapter 2. You impress it into the subconscious mind via autosuggestion. Chapter 3. You acquire the knowledge necessary to pursue it. Chapter 4. And now, you must use imagination to shape your desire into an actual plan. This is where wealth begins to take structure. Ideas are the real currency. Hill gives us a crucial lesson. Ideas are the beginning points of all fortunes. He explains that while knowledge is useful, it's ideas, new applications, new business models, new solutions that actually generate money. He urges us to treat ideas as capital. Do you write them down? Do you act on them? Do you organize them into something practical? If not, you're sitting on unmined gold. The mind as a workshop. Hill uses the metaphor of the mind as a workshop. You are the craftsman. Your imagination is the set of tools. The materials are your thoughts, desires, and knowledge. Your job? To enter that mental workshop daily. Sit quietly, reflect, visualize, sketch out new plans, rearrange what you know into something that solves problems or creates value. That's the work of imagination. The power of focused imagination. Hill doesn't advocate daydreaming without action. He focuses on organized imagination, where you use desire as a focus point, feed the subconscious with clear affirmations. Allow imagination to present new ideas and combinations, then translate those into definite, actionable plans. This is how inventors create products. It's how entrepreneurs create businesses. It's how leaders craft visions that move nations. Imagination must be exercised. Hill warns that imagination, like a muscle, weakens when unused. Most adults, he argues, stop using it after childhood, trading dreams for routine and creativity, for conformity. But successful people never stop imagining. Your imagination will grow sharper. The more you use it to solve problems, the more you reflect instead of react, the more you believe your ideas matter. He urges us to schedule time for imaginative thinking. Even 15 minutes of focused idea generation per day can change the course of your life. Real-world application. Imagination in business. Hill cites real-world examples where imagination sparked empires. A salesman who reimagined how life insurance was sold, becoming wealthy entrepreneurs who found new ways to deliver old services, Edison, who refused to accept the world as it was and imagined the world as it could be. He wants us to understand. You don't need to invent a light bulb. You need to use imagination to solve real problems in a new way and the world will pay you for it. Final lessons from Chapter 5. Imagination is the bridge between desire and wealth. Two types: synthetic, combining old ideas, and creative, new, inspiration. Wealth is born in the workshop of your mind, not your bank account. You must practice imagining solutions, products, offers, or new ways of delivering value. All riches start as an idea. You already have the tool. You just need to use it with purpose. Reflection challenge today or tonight. Sit with your journal. Ask yourself, if money, fear, and failure were no issue, what idea would I pursue to create wealth or impact? Then write down 10 ideas, even wild ones. The point isn't to judge them. The point is to awaken your imagination. Revisit this. List weekly. Add to it. One of these ideas may become your fortune. Chapter 6. Organized planning. The crystallization of desire into action. You have learned that everything man creates or acquires begins in the form of desire. That desire is taken on the first lap of its journey from the abstract to the concrete, into the workshop of the imagination, where plans for its transition are created and organized. Napoleon Hill. Turning thoughts into things. This chapter is long, dense, and practical, because it's where Hill stops talking about mental preparation and starts talking about execution. It begins with a reminder: desire without action is dead. You can have burning desire, unshakable faith, clear affirmations, brilliant ideas, but without a concrete plan and the courage to act on it, you'll never reach the finish line. This chapter teaches you how to build that plan. Step 1. Ally yourself with a mastermind group. The first key to organized planning, according to Hill, is this: form a definite, practical plan and begin at once to put this plan into action. But you are not expected to do this alone. In fact, you shouldn't. Hill instructs: create a mastermind group, a team of people who share your vision, complement your weaknesses, and contribute specialized knowledge. Choose individuals who are loyal, skilled, and emotionally invested in your success. Meet regularly. Share goals, analyze progress, adjust course. This is how businesses, partnerships, and empires are born, not in isolation, but through structured collaboration. Step 2. Adjust plans. When they fail, Hill offers a crucial insight. No follower of this philosophy can reasonably expect to accumulate a fortune without experiencing temporary defeat. Failure is not the enemy. Quitting is. Plans may not work the first time. That's okay. Adjust them. Revise. Get feedback. Test new angles. Persistence isn't about stubborn repetition. It's about intelligent iteration. This is where many fail. They interpret the first failure as a sign to stop. Hill says the exact opposite. It's a sign to replan. Step 3. The attributes of leadership. This section goes deep into leadership, because to execute a plan, you must become a leader, not just a thinker. Hill identifies 11 traits of effective leaders, including unwavering courage, self-control, a keen sense of justice, definiteness of decision, definiteness of plans, the habit of doing more than paid for, a pleasing personality, sympathy and understanding, mastery of detail, willingness to assume responsibility, cooperation. Message: you can't execute a plan without people, and people won't follow you unless you lead with strength, clarity, and character. Step 4. The 2 forms of leadership. Hill then outlines 2 kinds of leaders. Leadership by consent. People follow you because they respect you. Leadership by force. People follow because they fear you. Only the first kind leads to lasting success. History, he says, is littered with the ruins of dictators who led by force. The modern world demands influence through inspiration, not intimidation. To become truly wealthy and powerful, you must earn loyalty through vision, fairness, and strength. Step 5. Common causes of failure in planning. This section is almost a self-diagnosis tool. Hill lists over 30 reasons why people fail, including lack of a well-defined purpose, procrastination, lack of persistence. Lack of ambition to aim above mediocrity. Ill health, lack of self-discipline, unfavorable environmental influences, poor. Decision-making, wrong selection of a mate in marriage. Yes, seriously. Lack of concentration and tolerance. Lack of capital. This is your checklist, not to shame, but to sharpen. Identify where your personal leaks are and seal them. Bonus, the importance of selling yourself. Hill emphasizes that in order to make your plan work, whether it's a job, a business, or a product, you must sell yourself. He offers direct, specific advice for job seekers. Craft a plan for what you'll do for the employer. Make a clear case why you're the best investment offer more than expected. Present yourself as a valuable asset, not just a job seeker. This applies to all ventures. You are always selling your ideas, your vision, your leadership, and your energy. Historical proof. The power of a definite plan. Hill references the success of major tycoons of his era, Carnegie, Rockefeller, Edison, not because they were lucky or brilliant, but because they organized their resources toward a single definite goal. Every business you admire began with a burning desire, a written goal, a clearly organized plan, relentless execution. Despite failure, Hill's message is, do not wait for conditions to be perfect. Begin now, adjust along the way. Final lessons from Chapter 6. Planning is where desire takes physical form. Use your imagination to develop a plan and test it in the real world. Failure is not defeat. Inflexibility is. Gather a mastermind group. To accelerate results, sell your value clearly and courageously. Execution beats intention. Every single time, reflection, challenge, write down your definite chief aim, a basic plan of action to achieve it. Even rough is fine. The names of 2 to 3 people you could learn from, collaborate with, or build with. One thing you will do today to begin executing that plan. Remember, your plan will improve through use, not perfection. Chapter 7. Decision. The mastery of procrastination. Those who reach decisions promptly and clearly know what they want and generally get it. Napoleon Hill. Why most people never open the door to success. Have you ever hesitated? Just long enough to miss an opportunity? Maybe you had a great idea, but didn't pitch it. Maybe you wanted to make a move, but waited too long. Maybe you were afraid, so you chose later. Hill identifies indecision as one of the most destructive forces in personal success, and procrastination as its loyal servant. Procrastination is the opposite of decision. It is a common enemy which practically every man must conquer. Let that sink in. Conquer. This is not a soft trait. It is an enemy. Successful people decide fast and rarely change their mind. Hill's interviews with 500 plus of the world's most successful people, Carnegie, Ford, Rockefeller, Edison, revealed this shared trait. They make decisions quickly. They stick to them unless new facts demand change. They are not swayed by the opinions of others. They trust their own judgment, intuition, and values. This doesn't mean being reckless. It means being decisive, having clarity, acting on instinct informed by preparation. By contrast, unsuccessful people take forever to decide, frequently change their mind, allow others to influence them. Wait until things feel perfect. Hill's point is clear. Indecision breeds doubt. Doubt crystallizes into fear. Fear paralyzes action. The tragedy of opinion. One of the most powerful ideas in this chapter is this. Tell the world what you intend to do, but first show it. Too many people talk about their goals, poll opinions, and dilute their clarity by seeking approval. Hill warns against this. Stop broadcasting your plans. Start building them. He writes, close friends and relatives, while not meaning to do so, often handicap one through opinions and ridicule. Genuine wisdom avoids giving unsolicited advice. Your dream is fragile in its early stages. Protect it, decide for yourself, then act. Indecision feeds. Fear. Hill later explores the 6 basic fears in Chapter 15, but here he makes this link: fear of criticism, fear of poverty, fear of failure. They all thrive in indecision. When you hesitate, your brain starts creating imaginary disasters. The cure? A definite decision followed by definite action. If you are influenced by the opinions of others, you will have no desire of your own. Brutal? Yes, but freeing. Historical example. The decision that sparked the American Revolution Hill shares the story of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Every man who signed that document knew they were risking their lives, their fortunes, their families, but they signed it anyway. Why? Because they made a definite decision based on principle, not fear. They knew that freedom required risk, and that is Hill's message to you. You cannot grow rich or fulfilled without bold decisions. It's not safe, but it's necessary. Practical application. Strengthening your decision. Muscle Hill's method is clear. Decide what you want. Be precise. Don't say success. Say 100K a year through freelance design. Decide how you'll get it. Make a plan. Start now. Adjust later. Decide who you listen to. Select a small circle of trusted mentors. Ignore the rest. Practice daily decision-making. Don't delay small decisions. Train the muscle. Reflect, revise, but don't waffle. Be open to change, but not from fear or peer pressure. Every decision builds confidence or eats it. Choose. Bonus insight. Decision and Character Hill writes, people who fail to accumulate money without exception have the habit of reaching decisions, if at all, very slowly, and of changing these decisions quickly and often. He's not just talking about business, he's talking about identity. Are you the kind of person who knows what they want, acts on it, stays true in less reason, not fear says otherwise, because that is character. And character, Hill argues, is the foundation of wealth. Reflection. Challenge. Ask yourself, where am I delaying a decision right now? What fear is causing the delay? What would I do if I trusted myself completely? Write down one decision you've been avoiding. Make it today. Act on it this week. That single act of clarity may shift your momentum forever. Final lessons from Chapter 7, Procrastination, is fear in disguise. Successful people decide fast and stick to it. Protect your vision from the opinions of others. Decision is the antidote to doubt. Without decision, desire dies in silence. Chapter 8. Persistence, the sustained effort necessary to induce faith. Persistence is to the character of man as carbon is to steel. Napoleon Hill, why persistence separates the winners. From the wishers, persistence is the gritty, silent force that pushes you forward after the excitement fades, after your first failure, after your 10th no, after you're exhausted and the results haven't shown up yet. Hill makes this crystal clear. There may be no heroic connotation to the word persistence, but the quality is to the character of man what carbon is to steel. In other words, persistence hardens your will, toughens your resolve, and keeps your goals alive when everyone else quits. It is not talent that creates success. It is not luck. It is not even genius. It's refusal to give up. How persistence strengthens faith. In earlier chapters, Hill taught us how autosuggestion, decision, and faith build belief. But now he adds the missing link: repetition under pressure. Faith doesn't just grow through affirmations. Faith is built when you keep going, despite fear, failure, or slow results. Every time you persist through difficulty, you're showing your subconscious. I mean this. This desire isn't optional. This goal is who I am. And the subconscious responds by believing you. It strengthens your identity. And then, your results begin to bend to your will. Why most people? Quit Hill is blunt here. Most people fail not because they lack desire, but because they lack persistence. They stop. When they hit obstacles, when they're laughed at, when results are slow, when friends or family doubt them, when things get boring or hard. He writes, riches do not respond to wishes. They respond only to definite plans backed by definite desires through constant persistence. Persistence is what turns temporary defeat into ultimate victory. Famous examples of persistence, Hill offers real-life proof from the men he studied. Thomas Edison, over 10,000 failed experiments before inventing the electric light. Henry Ford faced ridicule, bankruptcy, and lawsuits, yet built a car empire. Barnes and his Edison partnership. Chapter 1. He didn't get the opportunity immediately, but he stayed until it arrived. The lesson? Winners are simply ex-quitters who refuse to quit one more time. The 4 simple steps to build persistence, Hill gives a formula to develop persistence, a definite purpose backed by burning desire, a definite plan expressed in continuous action. Mind closed tightly against all negative and discouraging influences, a friendly alliance with one or more persons who will encourage you to follow through. This is a formula anyone can use. It's not about willpower, it's about structure, environment, and support. The Enemies of Persistence, Hill outlines the common mental roadblocks that kill persistence: lack of clarity in your purpose, weakness of desire, lack of self-discipline ill-defined, plans fear of criticism, lack of organized support, mastermind, waiting for perfect conditions. The solution? Awareness plus commitment. Identify your weakness, build your plan around it. Persistence is a habit, not a trait. This is critical. Hill says persistence is not a personality trait you're born with. It is a habit, and you can build it like muscle. You build it by starting small, e.g., stick to a task for 10 minutes longer. Finishing things you start, showing up daily, especially on days you don't feel like it, surrounding yourself with people who won't let you quit. You may start weak, but with repetition, you become strong. The Power of Will, Hill describes willpower as the governor of persistence. Will is the tool that helps you direct thoughts and energy to a definite end. But it's not about grinding 24/7. It's about deliberate, focused effort, repeated with conviction. He emphasizes, genius will not, education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. Persistence in the face of failure, you will fail. That's a promise. The question is, what do you do next? Hill insists, temporary defeat is a signal to refine your plan, not to quit your purpose. Every defeat carries a seed of equivalent success, if you stay with it long enough to uncover the lesson. Final lessons from Chapter 8, Persistence, is the bridge between desire and success. It grows through daily action and emotional repetition. Most people fail because they quit too soon, not because they are wrong. Create a support system that fuels your courage and blocks out doubt. Persistence is a learnable habit. Build it daily. Failure is not a stop sign. It's an instruction, reflection challenge. Write this question and answer it. Where in my life have I stopped short? Not because I lacked ability, but because I lacked persistence. Then, choose one of those areas. Commit to returning to it, even if it's just one small step today. Remember, most people give up at 40% effort. Your future self lives at 100%. Chapter 9, Power of the Mastermind, the Driving Force. No individual may have great power without availing himself of the mastermind. Napoleon Hill. What is a mastermind? Hill defines the mastermind as the coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between 2 or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. It's not just teamwork. It's not a committee. It's not small talk or casual networking. A mastermind is a mental and emotional alliance between people with a shared mission, mutual respect, a willingness to contribute and grow. Hill is adamant. No one becomes truly successful alone. Every great fortune, Carnegie, Edison, Ford, was backed by invisible allies. The third mind, Hill makes a bold claim here. When 2 or more minds unite in harmony, a third, invisible, intangible force is created, a mastermind. This force has more power, more insight, more creative energy than either person alone. Think of it like this. Brain plus 1, brain 2 brains, 1 brain plus 1 brain, past 3 or more minds worth of energy. This is why group prayer, brainstorming, strategy sessions, and mastermind alliances often produce breakthroughs. You're not working with another brain. You're working through a shared higher intelligence. Examples from History Hill cites industrial giants like Andrew Carnegie, who credited his wealth to his carefully selected mastermind group of over 50 men. Henry Ford, who relied heavily on Thomas Edison, Harvey Firestone, and others to expand his empire. Napoleon Bonaparte, who rose to power with a military brain trust that planned every move. None of them did it alone. They built power networks. Why a mastermind is so powerful. Hill gives 5 reasons why the mastermind multiplies success. Expanded knowledge base. You gain access to others' skills, insight, and experience. Shared enthusiasm, energy, increases in a group setting. Accountability. You're more likely to follow through when others are invested. Emotional support. Faith grows when you are believed in. Creative force. Fresh solutions arise through dialogue, not isolation. The key ingredient. Harmony. Hill insists on this. There must be harmony. If there's friction, ego, or distrust, the mastermind loses its power. You must choose members carefully, establish mutual respect and clear boundaries. Focus on your shared purpose, not personal agenda. In today's terms, this isn't a networking group. It's a mission-driven alliance. How to form your own mastermind. Group. Hill's steps. Modernized. Define your goal. What are you working toward? Your group must align around this. Select 2 to 5 members. Choose people with complementary strengths, shared values, and positive energy. Set regular meetings. Weekly or bi-weekly is ideal, virtual or in person. Share honestly. Successes, setbacks, ideas, and challenges. Stay committed. Consistency builds compound momentum. You can have more than one mastermind for different areas: business, health, creativity, etc. What a mastermind is not. It's not a place to vent without purpose. It's not casual chat. It's not a one-way relationship. A true mastermind has intention. Every person contributes. Every meeting creates movement. Spiritual dimensions. Here Hill goes deeper. He suggests the mastermind also opens the door to infinite intelligence, the universal force he's hinted at throughout the book. When your mind blends harmoniously with another's, it's like tuning into a higher frequency. This can lead to inspired ideas, gut feelings, sudden clarity, breakthroughs that seem out of nowhere. Hill doesn't ask you to prove it. He simply invites you to experience it. Final lessons from Chapter 9. Great power comes from organized alliance. Not solo effort. Masterminds amplify your thinking, energy, faith, and results. Harmony is the key. Choose carefully. Meet consistently. The mastermind taps into both intellectual and spiritual power. Your next level of success may require someone else's mind, not just your own reflection. Challenge. Write down. What is your definite major purpose right now? Who are 2 to 3 people you admire, trust, or align with who could help you grow? What steps can you take this week to form your first mastermind conversation? You don't have to ask them to join a mastermind formally. Start small. Schedule one meaningful conversation with aligned purpose. Let your mastermind form naturally, but intentionally. Chapter 10. The Mystery of Sex Transmutation. The meaning of the word transmute is, in simple language, the changing or transferring of one element or form of energy into another. Napoleon Hill. What is sex transmutation? Let's start with the definition. Sex transmutation means redirecting sexual energy, one of the most potent human drives, into non-physical pursuits like ambition, creativity, business building, art, leadership, or invention, in Hill's words. When driven by this desire, men develop keenness of imagination, courage, willpower, persistence, and creative ability unknown to them at other times. He's not saying suppress it. He's saying transform it, transmute it. Why sexual energy is so powerful? Hill believed that the sex drive is the most intense emotional and biological force in humans. Why? It touches both body and spirit. It can generate obsession, focus, creativity, confidence. It fuels deep desire and emotional intensity. And emotional intensity, as we've learned, is what the subconscious mind responds to. Hill says this: the transmutation of sex energy calls for the exercise of willpower to be sure, but the reward is worth the effort. Why most people misuse it? Hill isn't moralizing, he's analyzing. He argues that most men dissipate their power through endless chasing of pleasure, casual indulgence, distraction through lust, fantasy, or emotional chaos. They feel the surge of energy, but instead of channeling it into wealth, health, or creative vision, they let it evaporate. Fortunes gravitate to men whose minds have been prepared to attract them, just as surely as water gravitates to the ocean. And the most successful men, he claims, often have a highly sexed nature, but they channel it upward. Real-world examples, Hill makes a strong assertion. Men of greatest achievement are men with highly developed sex natures. He includes Napoleon, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison. All of them, he suggests, had powerful emotional and sexual energy, but they transmuted that drive into vision, power, and accomplishment. They were passionate, not necessarily promiscuous. How sex fuels creativity. Hill sees sex as more than physical. It's a source of deep creative inspiration when directed wisely. He even suggests that many of the world's great works of art, music, poetry, and invention were fueled by the emotional surge caused by love, longing, or idealized passion. The emotion of sex contains the secret of creative ability. This chapter is as much about emotional magnetism as it is about physical desire, love, romance, and genius. This may surprise you. Hill believes the most powerful creative and financial achievements come not from sex alone, but from sex fused with love and romance. Why? Because love plus sex, emotional harmony, and that creates a calm, focused, intuitive mind, a mind that attracts genius-level insights. Love, romance, and sex are all emotions capable of driving men to heights of superachievement if blended in the right proportions. He's describing a kind of emotional transmutation, a union of body, mind, and spirit. How to practice sex transmutation. Hill doesn't give a rigid system, but here's how you can apply the principle. Acknowledge your sexual energy. Don't suppress or shame it. Notice when it surges, emotionally or physically. Redirect the energy consciously. When inspired, aroused, or emotionally charged, channel that fire into work writing, business planning, artistic creation, physical training, practice, creative solitude. Spend time alone, not for escape, but to create something using your internal fire. Elevate your romantic relationships. Nurture love and romance, not just pleasure. Aim for harmony that fuels your purpose, not distracts from it. Guard your focus. Don't let the chase of desire rob you of energy meant for your mission. Misunderstood? Yes. But powerful? Absolutely. This chapter has been criticized, misunderstood, or even skipped by readers who think it's out of place. But Hill knew. The ability to transmute sexual energy into action lies at the foundation of every form of self-mastery. Whether you're building a business, writing a novel, running a marathon, or creating a life of meaning, energy is everything. And sex, when honored and redirected, is one of your greatest internal sources of it. Final lessons from chapter 10. Sexual energy is raw power. Don't suppress it, transmute it. Most people waste this energy in indulgence or distraction. The greatest achievers harness it and convert it into creative, business or visionary output. Love plus sex plus romance, emotional harmony, increased focus, intuition, genius, self-mastery over desire leads to freedom, clarity, and creation. Reflection. Challenge. Ask yourself, where in your life do you feel a powerful surge of energy, but often let it dissipate? What would happen if you redirected it into a meaningful mission, consistently? Journal this. How can I take the most powerful emotion I feel and use it to create my best work, my boldest, Vision or my most disciplined effort? You already have the power. This chapter just handed you the key. Chapter 11. The subconscious mind. The connecting link. The subconscious mind acts first on the dominating desires which have been mixed with emotional feeling, such as faith. Napoleon Hill. The silent power behind the curtain. Subconscious mind is where all beliefs, habits, and emotional patterns are stored. Autosuggestions take root. Faith is built. Fears are nurtured or destroyed, and desire transforms into reality. Hill describes it as the connecting link between your conscious thoughts, logic, willpower, decision, and infinite intelligence, the universal source of creativity, intuition, and unseen guidance. The subconscious is always listening, always acting, whether you direct it intentionally or not. It accepts everything you feed it. Here's the critical truth. The subconscious mind doesn't filter. It does not argue. It doesn't question. It accepts whatever you tell it repeatedly, especially with emotion. This is why repeating your goal with faith creates belief. Doubting yourself reinforces failure. Fear, worry, and guilt sabotage success. Gratitude, confidence, and passion unlock abundance. The subconscious mind will translate into its physical equivalent by the most direct and practical means available, any order which is given to it in a spirit of belief or faith. In short, you are always programming yourself. The only question is, what are you programming in? The 7 emotions that influence the subconscious Hill lists 7 major positive emotions you must deliberately use to influence your subconscious. Desire faith, love sex enthusiasm, romance hope, and warns against the 7 major negative emotions, which must be eliminated. Fear, jealousy, hatred, revenge, greed, superstition, anger. You cannot hold both at once. Your subconscious will act upon whichever set is dominant. So Hill advises, guard your emotional state as if your life depends on it, because it does. How to feed the subconscious. Mind Hill gives 5 methods you've already seen, now tied together. Autosuggestion. Repeating your goal daily with emotion visualization, seeing yourself already in possession of the goal affirmations. Faith-based, present tense self-talk decision plus action. The subconscious responds to decisive movement, mastermind environment. Emotional energy is contagious. Surround yourself with belief, not fear. The more you repeat, emotionalize, and act, the more the subconscious accepts it as fact. Your subconscious never sleeps, Hill reminds us. The subconscious is working 24/7, whether you're awake or not. It stores memories you've forgotten. It guides instinctive decisions. It attracts opportunities or sabotage based on your dominant inner state. You may call this intuition, gut feeling, or even divine inspiration, but it all flows through the subconscious. Through a method of procedure unknown to man, the subconscious mind draws upon the forces of infinite intelligence. This is where spiritual and practical law intersect. Emotionalized thought. Action. In reality, this chapter isn't theoretical. It's deeply practical. Hill tells us every prayer, affirmation, or goal is just a suggestion to the subconscious, but it only responds if the idea is charged with deep emotional intensity. So when you say, I am earning $100,000 per year doing what I love, you must feel it, see it, believe it, not just once, but daily. This is not just positive thinking. This is mental conditioning. A caution, your mind cannot serve 2 masters, Hill warns. You cannot plant both success and failure in the same garden. If you affirm success but dwell on doubt, you confuse your subconscious. If you visualize wealth but worry about poverty, you cancel out the signal. If you pray for love but feel unworthy, you block the reception. You must become mentally loyal to your desire. You must starve the fear and feed only the vision. The subconscious mind is the gateway. Hill concludes that the subconscious is the gateway to infinite intelligence, the bridge between thought and reality, the engine room of your belief system, the source of every major breakthrough. It is not mystical. It is not magic. It is your deepest inner self, responding to what you feed it, every moment of your life. Final lessons from Chapter 11. The subconscious mind is always working, always listening. It responds best to repetition, plus emotion, plus belief. You can program it through autosuggestion, visualization, and environment. It connects your thoughts to infinite intelligence and universal guidance. It does not filter, so be intentional about what you feed it. Emotionally charged thoughts become your reality. Reflection. Challenge, ask yourself, what are the top 3 thoughts or emotions I dwell on most days? Are they aligned with the life I say I want? Now write this. Today, I choose to feed my subconscious mind with faith, clarity, and vision. I trust that it will respond with guidance, ideas, and opportunities to fulfill my desire. Repeat it tonight. Say it aloud. Feel it. You're not just saying words, you're reprogramming your destiny. Chapter 12. The Brain, a broadcasting and receiving station for thought. Every human brain is both a broadcasting and receiving station for the vibration of thought. Napoleon Hill. Your brain is an energy machine. Hill opens this chapter by declaring a revolutionary idea for his time and even today. Thoughts are energy. And the brain, he says, is the device that transmits and receives that energy in the form of vibrations. This isn't metaphor. Hill is being literal. He compares your brain to a radio. It can send out signals, your dominant thoughts. It can tune into thoughts and ideas from others or the universe itself. The brain's frequency, your brain is made up of billions of vibrating cells, neurons, constantly sending signals across synapses. Hill believed every intense emotion, faith, love, desire, sex, fear, raises the frequency of your thought vibrations. The more emotionally charged your thoughts, the stronger the broadcast. That's why autosuggestion plus emotion, subconscious influence, real-world attraction. He wasn't a neuroscientist, but he anticipated what quantum physics and neuroscience are now beginning to validate. Our thoughts, our energetic signatures. We are all transmitting something. Hill argues that everyone is always broadcasting thoughts. People can feel your attitude. Even if you don't speak it, they respond to your energy. Ideas can seem to appear out of nowhere because your brain is tuned to receive them. This explains phenomena like coincidences, intuition, being on the same wavelength. Sudden inspiration. You didn't create those ideas from scratch. You received them. The role of the mastermind here, Hill, returns to the power of the mastermind group. When multiple people meet in harmony, their brains synchronize. The combined emotional energy raises the frequency. This creates a shared mental space where new ideas can emerge. This is how Edison, Ford, and Carnegie used their teams to build empires, not just by pooling talent, but by multiplying thought power. When a group of individual brains are coordinated and function in harmony, the increased energy created through that alliance becomes available to every individual brain in the group. Sex, emotion, and the brain remember. Chapter 10, Sex Transmutation. Hill brings that back here, noting that sexual energy is the highest frequency vibration available to humans. Why? Because it stirs imagination, courage, enthusiasm, and above all, creative drive. When sexual energy is fused with purpose, your brain broadcasts with incredible intensity, reaching higher planes of insight and creativity, infinite intelligence and brainwaves. This is where Hill gets spiritual and philosophical. The brain doesn't just send signals to other brains, it can also tune into infinite intelligence. What does that mean? You can receive ideas, solutions, inspiration that seem too perfect, too sudden, too powerful to be from your conscious mind. These are the divine downloads many creative geniuses describe. Edison called it his spirit of invention. Tesla claimed he could see inventions in full detail before building them. Writers, artists, scientists, all have described sudden breakthroughs. Hill says, "You're not imagining it. You're receiving it." How to broadcast effectively. Hill. gives practical advice for using your brain as a high-powered transmitter. Focus your thoughts. A definite purpose. Sound clear signal. Add emotional fuel. Desire, faith, love, and sex all raise vibration. Use autosuggestion daily. Repetition. Signal strength. Meditate or sit in silence. Let the receiver activate. This is when intuition often speaks. Join a mastermind. Your signal becomes stronger in unity with others. Are you broadcasting fear or faith? This may be the most important takeaway. Your dominant emotional thoughts are what your brain is sending into the world. If you live in fear, doubt, anger, those are the frequencies you transmit, and what you transmit you attract. Backhill is gently, warning, your results are a reflection of what your brain has been broadcasting. So the work is simple, but sacred. Choose your thoughts. Feel them deeply. Focus them daily. Final lessons from Chapter 12. The brain is both a transmitter and receiver of thought. Emotionally charged thoughts vibrate at a higher level and influence both the subconscious and external world. Your brain, when harmonized with others, gains access to expanded creative energy. Sexual, emotional, and spiritual energy magnify mental frequency. Infinite intelligence can be accessed through a tuned, focused, emotionally activated brain. Reflection challenge. Sit still for 10 minutes today. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Ask a question that matters to you. Something like, what is one inspired action I should take next to fulfill my desire? Don't force the answer, just listen. Trust. Observe what comes. This is how the receiver works. Then write. I am broadcasting faith, clarity, and creative purpose. I attract aligned ideas, people, and opportunities. Repeat it often. Tune your signal. The universe is listening. Chapter 13. The Sixth Sense. The Door to the Temple of Wisdom. This principle is the apex of the philosophy. It can be assimilated only by first mastering the other 12 principles. Napoleon Hill. What is the sixth sense? Hill describes the sixth sense as that portion of the subconscious mind which has been referred to as the creative imagination. It is the receiving set through which ideas, plans, and thoughts flash into the mind. But here's the key. It doesn't operate on command. It awakens only after the other 12 principles have been internalized, and it often speaks through hunches, gut feelings, sudden ideas, and intuitive nudges. This is not a magic trick. It's the natural evolution of a well-trained mind that's open, emotionally tuned, and spiritually aligned. The sixth sense connects you to infinite intelligence. Throughout the book, Hill has hinted at something larger, a universal force, a creative field, a source of wisdom beyond human reasoning. He calls it infinite intelligence. The sixth sense, he says, is how you tune into it. It might come as a warning before danger, a flash of genius before sleep, a perfect idea in the shower, a strong urge to call someone or take a new path. The sixth sense is that faculty which marks the difference between a genius and an ordinary individual. It's intuition amplified by preparation. How the sixth sense speaks. The sixth sense whispers, it doesn't shout, feels quiet and certain, not anxious or rushed. Often shows up after deep desire, faith, action, and persistence have been set in motion, delivers messages so precise that logic alone could never produce them. Think of it like this. Your conscious mind builds the staircase, but the sixth sense gives you the courage to step into the unknown. Hill's personal experience. The Invisible Counsel in one of the book's most famous and intimate passages. Hill shares a stunning practice he used nightly for years. He created an imaginary council of history's greatest men, Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, Napoleon Bonaparte Darwin, Luther, Emerson, and others. Each night before bed, he would visualize these men sitting around a table and imagine their advice, their character, their energy becoming part of him. At first, it was visualization, but over time he said something changed. The imaginary figures became apparently real. Each of these men developed individual characteristics which surprised me. Was it hallucination? No. Hill believed it was the sixth sense awakening. his subconscious mind blending with infinite intelligence through symbols he trusted. He used this technique to solve problems, strengthen character, embody qualities like courage, patience, vision, and confidence. You can do this too. Why the sixth sense requires preparation, Hill is clear. Understanding of the sixth sense comes only by meditation, through mind development from within. That means you cannot force it, you must first master desire, faith, autosuggestion, planning, decision, persistence, and the rest. You must quiet your mind long enough to receive. This chapter is not a shortcut. It's a reward, earned through mental discipline, emotional harmony, and spiritual trust. The sixth sense as warning system, Hill shares that, as his sixth sense developed, it warned him of danger more than once. He called it a guardian angel. You might call it your gut, spirit, or inner compass, but whatever name you give it, it's real. And it often protects those who are awake enough to listen. How to cultivate the sixth sense, Hill doesn't give a rigid formula, but based on the book, here's how to develop this superpower. Practice silence. Meditation, nature walks, or moments of solitude help tune the receiver. Visualize your counsel, build a mental board of mentors, alive or dead. Talk to them. Act on intuition. Trust small nudges. Train your mind to listen, then act. Master the previous 12 principles. Without desire, faith, and action, the sixth sense stays dormant. Create emotional harmony, fear, stress, and chaos. Cloud reception. Stillness sharpens clarity. Genius. Sixth sense plus preparation, Hill is clear. The sixth sense is not supernatural. It's the natural reward of emotional and mental mastery. There comes to your aid and to do your bidding a strange power which enables you to transmute your desires into their physical equivalent. In other words, when your desire is pure, your belief is deep, and your action is consistent, the universe moves, and it moves through you. Final lessons from chapter 13. The sixth sense is your mind's most advanced function. Available only through inner preparation, it delivers inspired ideas, warnings, insights, and genius. It is how you receive guidance from infinite intelligence. Hill's personal visualization of an imaginary counsel was a powerful tool to develop it. The sixth sense rewards faith, clarity, stillness, and emotional mastery. Reflection challenge tonight before sleep. Close your eyes and invite your invisible counsel, real or imagined. Pose a question about your deepest goal. Sit in silence. Be open. Don't force answers. Then write this. I trust that the answer will come through inspiration, intuition, or circumstance. I am open. I am aligned. You are not alone. Your highest mind is waiting. Listen. Chapter 14. Outwitting the 6 ghosts of fear. Clearing the mind for riches. Fears are nothing more than states of mind. Napoleon Hill. Why fear is the last barrier? You've built desire. You've developed faith. You've planted thoughts into your subconscious. You've begun to act and align, but if fear remains, it can cancel your belief, sabotage your action, attract failure, and cause paralysis just before success. Hill says, before you can put any portion of this philosophy into successful use, your mind must be prepared to receive it. And that preparation requires you to confront fear head-on. The 6 basic fears, Hill identifies 6 ghosts, unseen forces that haunt the mind, often without us realizing it. The fear of poverty, the most common and destructive, shows up as anxiety about money, job loss, debt causes hesitation, lack of risk, shame, and scarcity thinking. The fear of criticism prevents people from being bold, original, or entrepreneurial, originates from childhood. Scolding, rejection, ridicule leads to conformity and approval seeking. The fear of ill health, fueled by worry, media, obsession over disease, can manifest physical symptoms through psychosomatic. Influence weakens energy and optimism. The fear of loss of love. Jealousy, possessiveness, self-doubt can destroy relationships, self-respect, and inner peace. The fear of old age, rooted in the idea of uselessness or dependency, leads to despair, withdrawal, or denial. Instead of seeing aging as wisdom, it's seen as decline. 6. The fear of death, the deepest and most paralyzing, often unconscious, but expressed in risk aversion, overcaution, and spiritual numbness. Hill urges readers to embrace the unknown, not fear it. All fears are states of mind. Hill repeats this powerfully. All fears are nothing but states of mind, and a state of mind can be changed. Fear is not real in the external world. It's created within. Gains power through repetition, and imagination can be destroyed by clarity, faith, and action. Fear and the subconscious. Remember, the subconscious responds to emotion plus repetition. If you constantly worry about debt, imagine worst-case scenarios, tell yourself you'll never succeed, then you're programming your subconscious to fail on your behalf. Hill urges you to stop feeding fear and instead begin feeding courageous belief, no matter how small. The fear self-test. Are these ghosts haunting you? Hill provides self-assessment. Questions to detect fear's influence. Let's explore just a few. For poverty, do you constantly worry about bills, expenses, or not having enough? Do you stay in jobs or relationships out of fear of losing financial support? For criticism, are you afraid to share your ideas? Do you need approval to feel confident? Do you hesitate to take risks due to fear of what others think? For ill health, do you obsess over your health, symptoms, or aging? Do you let worry prevent you from pursuing your goals? For loss of love, are you possessive, controlling, or afraid of abandonment? Do you feel unworthy of love? For old age, do you dread growing older, or feel it's too late to begin again? Do you withdraw from challenge, growth, or learning? For death, does the idea of dying paralyze you from living fully? Do you avoid taking risks out of fear of what might happen? Hill says, name your fears. That's the first act of power. How to outwit fear. Hill doesn't suggest denial. He recommends mental strategy. Recognize the fear. Name it. Write it down. Understand its pattern. Starve it of attention. Don't talk about it. Don't feed it emotionally. Turn your mind to the goal. Feed faith deliberately. Use autosuggestion, affirmations, and mastermind support. Act boldly in small steps. Action builds confidence and crushes hesitation. Surround yourself with fearless people. Courage is contagious. So is fear. Detach from the need to please. Especially regarding the fear of criticism, learn to live in truth, not applause. Contemplate death consciously. Instead of fearing it, use it to live more fully. Hill says, death is mere transition, not punishment. The spiritual reality of fear at the deepest level, Hill calls fear an anti-creative force. It blocks intuition, inspiration, action, health, wealth, age, love. To live in fear is to live in resistance to life itself. So your work is to replace fear with faith, day by day, thought by thought. Final lessons from chapter 14. The 6 basic fears are subtle, powerful, and universal, but they can be mastered. Fear is always internal and emotional. It is never external or logical. Most people sabotage success not through ignorance, but through fear. To clear the mind for riches, you must create emotional clarity. Fear and faith cannot occupy the same space. Choose one reflection. Challenge. Write down this question and answer honestly. Which of the 6 ghosts of fear has the strongest grip on my life right now? Then ask, what bold action can I take this week to weaken it? Lastly, say aloud, I do not live in fear. I live in purpose. I trust the process. I am free. Repeat that daily. You're not just reciting words, you're reclaiming your mind. Final reflection and thematic analysis. Becoming the person who thinks and grows rich. You are the master of your fate. You are the captain of your soul. Napoleon Hill. The core. Message. Hill's core message is deceptively simple, but explosively powerful. Thoughts become things, not in a vague or magical sense, but in a practical, structured, step-by-step way. You've learned that wealth, success, fulfillment, whatever your definite purpose is, begins in the mind, is shaped by belief, empowered by emotion, organized through planning, and brought to life by persistent action. The riches are not the goal. Becoming the kind of person who can create them is. The 13 Principles. Revisited. Let's briefly revisit and integrate the core ideas you've now absorbed. Desire. Start with a burning want that becomes your reason to act. Faith. Develop belief through repetition, emotion, and self-trust. Autosuggestion. Reprogram your subconscious mind with words and feeling. Specialized knowledge. Learn only what serves your purpose, then apply it. Imagination. Use your mind as a workshop to create new plans and possibilities. Organized. Planning. Turn ideas into structured action steps and refine them as needed. Decision. Decide fast, stick to it, and stop asking the world for permission. Persistence. Stay committed after the excitement fades and obstacles appear. Power of the master mind. Multiply your strength by joining forces with others. Sex transmutation. Redirect powerful, emotional energy into creation, not distraction. The subconscious mind. Feed it faith, not fear, belief, not doubt. The brain. Understand it as a transmitter of your dominant thoughts and emotions. The sixth sense. Trust the whispers of intuition once you've aligned with the rest. These are not tactics. These are mental and emotional tools. Together they create a new identity, the person who can attract, build, and sustain true success. From I want to I am. This is the real shift, from wanting success to becoming successful. Inside, from trying to think rich, to thinking richly as a habit, from chasing money, to embodying value, leadership, and service. Hill's philosophy is not about chasing results. It's about thinking differently until the results become inevitable. Bigger than money, a philosophy for life. While the book uses riches as its focal point, Hill makes it clear. Riches may be measured in money, but they also include a state of mind, harmony, peace of mind, good health, and spiritual understanding. This book is ultimately about freedom, from fear, from confusion, from smallness. It's about becoming someone who thinks clearly, acts boldly, feels deeply, serves. Intentionally think and grow rich isn't about quick wealth. It's about becoming a creator. The loop of creation Hill gives us a loop. Thought, faith, emotion, subconscious programming, inspired action, persistence, success, new thought. This isn't linear, it's cyclical. The more you practice it, the more powerfully it compounds. Breaking the chains of fear in the final chapters, Hill forces us to face the real enemy, fear. You've now learned fear is not real, it's programmed, and it can be reprogrammed. Your thoughts shape your emotions influence your behavior creates your life, and fear, when starved of attention and replaced with faith, focus, and purpose, loses its power over you. You are no longer a victim of your thoughts. You are their master. Timeless takeaways. Let's anchor a few final truths. Riches respond to clarity. Get specific. Success begins with belief. Build it daily. Your thoughts are your blueprint. Upgrade them deliberately. Emotion drives change. Feel what you want before it arrives. You are more powerful than your circumstances. Always. This is not a theory. It is a law. Final challenge. The mirror declaration. Stand in front of a mirror. Look yourself in the eyes. Say, I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. I think clearly. I feel deeply. I act boldly. I now think, believe, and grow rich in all ways. Say it every morning for 30 days. Watch what happens, not just in your bank account, but in your identity. Final words from Napoleon Hill. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Success requires no apologies. Failure permits no alibis. When riches begin to come, they come so quickly in such great abundance that one wonders where they had been hiding during all those lean years.